Okay, student, can you see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay,
Yes,
let's
sir.
start, yeah. Okay, before I start, I think I need to remind you that you need to register to Siman Laboratory, yeah, because for this discussion about assembly balancing, you will have lab work, and for the lab work, I think it is very critical, yeah. So you cannot miss the lab work, because if you miss, then you need to repeat all of the discussion. That means that you need to repeat all of the subject like that. So please be careful, and please beware that you need to register, yeah, to Siman Laboratory, and please form your own group, yeah. I have to know the number of member in the group, so you can ask the assistant in the laboratory, yeah. Okay. After we discuss about scheduling, it means that you can imagine that we have the components, yeah. After that, we need to assemble the component becomes final products. That's why now we discuss about assembly line balancing. It means that now we go to the assembly line, yeah, not in production line anymore. And the issue is how to balance, yeah, the assembly workstation. Why we need to balance? Because, yeah, if there is if the line is not balanced, it means that there is still have bottleneck. What is bottleneck? Bottleneck is the critical workstation. Workstation with the lowest output. Why it has lowest output? Because, yeah, the workstation maybe work very hard, and also it takes longest time in to solve to complete the work. Yeah, and after that the output will be lowest. If like that, then yeah, it creates another problem. That's why we need to balance, yeah, the workstation load. How to balance? We need to redistribute, or we need to rearrange, yeah, we need to redetermine again the allocation of the work element, yeah, so that the workstation will have almost same, or maybe uniform, yeah, uniform number of work elements, and we need to measure it, yeah, from the processing time. Yeah, so at the end, we need to make sure that the processing time or the assembly time, yeah, or the workstation time, yeah, all is almost same, yeah, or uniform like that. Okay, and then this is the content. We will discuss about the assembly line balancing, and after that we also need to know the terminology and definition in ALB, assembly line balancing, and also we need to know about the some parameter, yeah, to justify whether assembly line is good or not. So we need to know about the measuring effectiveness, yeah, of a line, and after that we also need to know about the method, yeah, that can be implemented to balance the assembly line. Okay, if we talk about method, actually there are a lot of method that can be implemented. Yeah, I think not less than seven. Yeah, I think more than seven method. But for this session, we discuss only two methods. Yeah, for this week we discuss one method, and after that we continue to next week, yeah, to discuss another method. Okay, student. Now we go to the first assembly line balancing. This is the process. Yeah, assembly line balancing is the process to balance the assembly line. Yeah, and we need to balance the workstation load. Yeah, in the assembly line. Okay, this one you can see in the process of equalizing. Yeah, the amount of work at each workstation on an assembly line. Please be careful, student, when you implement this method, yeah, to balance the workstation load. Yes, you can implement it in assembly line, but you cannot implement this method, yeah, to production line. It is totally different. Now we talk about assembly line. Yeah, you can imagine, yeah, after we manage the work of the machine in scheduling, then yeah, we finish everything. It means that we already have the components, and after that, yeah, we will assemble the component in assembly line. So please imagine now we are in assembly line, yeah, not in production line anymore. It is very important. Why? Because when you can check, yeah, you can check some of the thesis of your senior, yeah, they try to implement this method in production line. It is fatal mistake, yeah, because actually we cannot implement this method to balance the load of the workstation in the production line. Yeah, this is specifically for assembly line. Yeah, it can be done by assigning tasks, see, by reassigning. Yeah, reassigning. Of course, yeah, in workstation there are a lot of work elements or a lot of tasks. Yeah, but we need to reevaluate, and sometimes we need to redesign, redistribute, yeah, the tasks to workstation in such a way that the workstation have approximately equal time requirements. Okay, in terms of ideal condition, yes, we try to balance it 100%, yeah, perfectly. But it is very hard. Yeah, we cannot get the perfect condition. Yeah, that's why here the term is approximately equal. Yeah, time requirements. Okay, and then it's still about assembly line. Yeah, assembly line is a production line that consists of a sequence of workstation. See, so if we talk about the layout, yeah, it is very similar with flow shop. Yeah, sequence workstation where assembly tasks are performed by assembler. See, the activity inside that line is assembly, assembly activity, not production activity anymore. Product are assembled as they move along the line. Means that we can use conveyor. Yeah, we can use conveyor to transport the semi-finished good. Yeah. After that, yeah, in the assembly line, then the operator will assemble the required components become final goods like that. Assembly lines are common method of assembling, such as automobiles. Is it just example? Yeah, about the assembly line, telephone, transportation, and so on. You can see from my slide. Okay, now the production rate of an assembly line is determined by its slowest workstation. See, yeah, when we have unbalanced products assembly line, it means that we still have bottleneck. Yeah, bottleneck. You can imagine. Yeah, bottleneck is, yeah, you can imagine a bottle. Yeah, there is big part and smallest part. Yeah, so when we talk about the output of the system will be determined by the lowest output. Yeah. So here, for example, if there are 1, 2, 3 until n workstation, then we can try to analyze the output of every workstation. For example, yeah, workstation number 3, the output is lowest. Yeah, lowest output. So the output of the system, yeah, will be determined by the output of the workstation 3. Like that. Then why workstation 3 or the output is lowest? Because the the load of the workstation is not balanced. Yeah. Like that. That's why we need to rebalance. We need to redistribute, yeah, the work element to all of the workstations so that the load of every workstation is almost the same. Yeah. Now we go to the second about terminology and definition. The first is about work element. We need to know about this. Yeah, and after that, workstation and process time, takt time, cycle time, and precedent diagram. Okay, we go one by one. First, we go to work element. Yeah, what is work element? This one, yeah. Work element, dividing the job into tasks of a rational and smaller size. Okay, let me try to find, yeah. Or you can imagine, yeah, if I have marker, yeah. If we have offline class, then I will use marker to write something in the whiteboard, yeah. So in marker, you can imagine, yeah, in marker, then we can try to disassemble the marker become components, yeah. If we try to analyze, yeah, a marker can be disassembly, yeah. We can try to disassemble the cover, yeah, the cover, and after that we can disassemble the label of the marker. After that, we can disassemble the smallest cap, the smaller cap, yeah. And after that, we can disassemble the content, yeah, the blue one, the red one, the black one, yeah. And after that, we have the body, yeah. So if we talk about work element, it is activity, yeah. Please be careful, yeah. It is not the component, but the activity. So the work element will be, let's say, work element number 1. Yeah, we assemble the content with the body. Yeah, so we put in, yeah, the content of the marker to the body. After that, yeah, that's for work element number 1. And after that, work element number 2, we need to close, yeah, we need to assemble the smaller cap, yeah, to the body. After that, we need to assemble the big cap to the body. And after that, we need to assemble the label like that. So, yeah, based on that, actually, it is very hard for me to explain, yeah, if we have online class, yeah. I think it's better if we have offline class, so I can bring a real example, yeah. But it's okay, no problem. Let me try to explain it. Okay, based on my explanation, actually, we have 4, yeah, work elements. Assembly the content with the body, assembly the smaller cap with the body, assembly the big cap with the body, and after that we assembly the label, yeah, with the body like that. So there are 4 work elements, yeah. So if you try to see the slide, actually this is not good, yeah, not good example. Why not good example? Because drill or hole, drilling is not assembly activity. Drilling is production activity. So I think this is not good example. Yeah, drill or hole can't be divided. It means that we cannot include drill activity in assembly line. Okay, student. Now we go to workstation time. Yeah. After we identify the work element, then our task is distributing the work element to the workstation. So you can imagine, a workstation will handle one or more than one work element. And in workstation, there is only one operator. So the operator will do the work element sequentially. Let's say in workstation, there are two work elements. Work element number 1 and work element number 2, for example. So the total time of the workstation will be the work element number 1 time plus the work element number 2 time. Again, work element is not component, but the activity. The activity to assemble the component. So we can measure the time required to assembly to do that job, that task. Please be careful. Again and again, this is very important. I underline it. Work element is not component, but the activity to assemble the component becomes sub-assembly. For example, again, I go back to the previous example. Assembly the content with the body. Assembly the smaller cap with the body. Assembly the big cap with the body. Assembly the label with the body. So assembly is work element, not the component. Activity. Work element represents an activity. So we can measure the time required to do that task. So here, workstation time equals to, you can see from here, the sum of the work element time. Why we need to sum? Again, because there is only one operator to handle the workstation. So if there is only one operator and there are more than one work element, then the operator will do the work element sequentially. Again, if there are, let's say, 2 or maybe 3 work elements, then the operator will do the first work element. After finished, then the same operator will do the second work element, and after that, continue with the third work element. So the total time equals to total time of work element 1 plus work element number 2 and plus work element number 3. That's why here we use summation symbol. Okay, student, is there any question, please? No response, no question. Okay, no problem. Takt time. What is takt time? Takt time is this one. We can see from the formula. Takt time equals the available production time defined by customer demand. It means that when customer demand. Now you understand, customer demand will come from MPS. Actually, we can get customer demand from forecasting. We can forecast the demand in the future. But after that, we also need to consider our resources. After we consider the demand and resources, then we can arrange master production schedule or MPS. So in MPS, we have information about production target of every week, and this will be the customer demand here. So we try to chase the target. So here we need to consider the available production time, and we also need to consider the customer demand on the production target. So after that, when we divide it, then we will have maximum workstation time. So after we calculate takt time, then it will be the maximum workstation time. Okay, I go back here. When we sum the workstation time, this one, we need to make sure that the sum of the workstation time will be less or equals, to the takt time. Why? Because when the sum of the workstation time is more than the takt time, then we cannot chase the target. That's the problem. So that's the relation between takt time and the workstation time. Okay, so then sometimes we use this one, cycle time. What is cycle time? Cycle time is very similar with takt time, but in takt time we use production target from MPS, but in cycle time we use real output of our system. Available production time defined by the real output of our system. Okay, so then it's same, if we have cycle time, we don't have takt time, then we will use cycle time as the maximum limit of the workstation time. like that. But if we have takt time, then we must use takt time as the maximum limit of workstation time, like that. Okay, student. Now we go here, precedent diagram. Yeah, precedent diagram. A diagram that shows elemental tasks and their precedent requirements. Okay. I go back to the work element determination. Yeah, after we can determine the work element, then we must draw the relationship between work element in the form of precedent diagram. So from here we know the sequence. Yeah, we know the sequence of the task. Yeah, we know the sequence of the task. Okay, for example, if we go back to the previous example, assembly the content with the body must be carried out first before we can assemble the label. So, this work element will be carried out first. After that, we can continue the second work element only after we finish the first work element. So if like that, we draw serially. One circle number one. After that, we connect to circle number two. Circle number one represents the first work element. Circle number two represents the second work element. Like that. Assembling the smaller cap with the body can be done only after we finish the second work element. So we continue again. We draw again. We draw serially again. We connect work element number two to work element number three serially. Like that. And the last, we assemble the label with the body. We can do it only after we finish work element number three. So if like that, we draw, same. We draw, we connect work element number three to work element number four serially, like that. Okay, student, please be careful. Sometimes we have parallel work element. This one, you can see A and C. A and C can be done, can be carried out parallelly. For example, if the product is let's say lamp, table lamp, table lamp. Okay, the product is table lamp. So please imagine, table lamp. Actually, we can divide into two sub assembly: the table lamp itself and the cable. Okay, so actually the cable and the table lamp can be assembly parallelly. You can imagine one operator can be assigned to assembly the cable with the with the contactor. The cable with the contactor. One operator can assembly the cable with the contactor independently from the table lamp. We can assign another operator to assembly the table lamp. So because this work is independent, assembling the cable with the contactor and assembling the table lamp is independent, then the work element will be parallel. Like this. A and C is parallel. Please be careful. Please be careful. If you find there are work elements that can be done independently, then you need to draw it parallelly. But if cannot, then you need to draw it. You need to draw it serially like this. Again and again, work element represent an activity. That's why we can measure the required time. Work element is not component, but activity to assemble the component. That's why here, we can measure the required time. Okay, student. Now, we go to here, measuring effectiveness. We need to know how to justify whether the result of equivalent balancing is good or no. There are three parameters that can be used. The first called as balance delay, the second called as line efficiency, and the third called as smoothness index. Actually, we can use only two. Usually we can use only two: line efficiency and smoothness index. Why? Because balance delay is just 1 minus line efficiency. So after we can calculate efficiency, then we can calculate balance delay. Because balance delay formula is 1 minus line efficiency. So we can calculate it actually. So it's better for us to use only two, line efficiency and smoothness index. Line efficiency, this one, the concept is the use time divided by the available time. Okay, please imagine, please imagine. if there are two workstations, see, if we have offline class, then I can draw, yeah, the workstation in the whiteboard. But no, I cannot draw. So we just imagine, yeah. If there are two workstations, yeah, and we have the cycle time, we have the target time, yeah, we have the targeted workstation time, called as cycle time. Let's say cycle time equals to 10. It means that we provide 10 minutes or 10 hours to every workstation. Let's say 10 minutes. Yeah, it means that we provide 20 minutes. 10 times for the first workstation, and sorry, not 10 times, not 10 minutes, 10 minutes for the first workstation, and 10 minutes for the second workstation. Total, we have 20 minutes. Okay, after we conduct assembly line balancing, after we reassign, after we assign the work element to every workstation, let's say the workstation 1, the total time is, let's say, 7 minutes, and workstation 2, let's say, 8 minutes. If like that, we provide 20 minutes, but only 15 minutes used. So if we try to calculate the line efficiency, it equals to 15 divided by 20. 20 from where? This one. And times cycle time. And is the number of workstation. In our case, it is 2, 2 workstation times the cycle time. It is 10. So 2 times 10, it equals to 20. The available time. Okay. And after that, this one, for the upper, that's the sum of the workstation time. For the first workstation, it takes 7 minutes. For the second workstation, it takes 8 minutes in our example. So actually, from the 20, only 15 minutes used. So the line efficiency will be 15 divided by 20, like that. That's for line efficiency. And this one, smoothness index, okay. Previously, I already explained you. Actually, there are around 7 methods that can be used to do assembly and balancing. Then how to choose the best method? Okay, based on the line efficiency, of course. We choose a method with highest line efficiency. But if there are more than one method with same line efficiency, then how to choose the best one? So we need the second parameters called as smoothness index. So here smoothness index or SI will be used to determine the best method when we have more than one method with the same line efficiency. Like that. So here the formula to calculate the smoothness index is this one. First, we try to identify the maximum workstation time or station time. That will be the reference. And after that, we subtract with the station time. And after that, we square it. After that, we sum it. Then don't forget to square root it. To square root the result. Like that. Okay, done? Now, okay, before we go to the next for the method, is there any question, please? No response. Okay, good.
Still clear, sir.
Yeah, clear, Now we go to here, about the method. Okay. Actually, there are several methods, but we just discuss about we discuss only 2 methods here. And also, for this, for this discussion, I will use deterministic method. Deterministic means that we have fixed, we have fixed workstation time. But in the real condition, the workstation time can be varying. Because the work inside the workstation is manual work. Manual work means that this work carried out by operator. Sometimes operator can work faster, sometimes work slower. So the processing time or the workstation time will be varying. But now we assume it's fixed. But if you want to discuss, we can implement probabilistic assembly and balancing. For example, if you want to conduct thesis, if you want to conduct a research for your thesis, for example, or for your internship, then you can consider this one, probabilistic assembly and balancing. But for now, we just discuss about deterministic, assembly and balancing. We go to the first method called as Gilchrist and Webster heuristic, or sometimes called as region approach. And after that, maybe next week, we discuss about the second method called as rank positional weight or RPW. Okay, we go to the first method. Gilchrist and Wester heuristic. Sometimes it called as region approach. I don't want to explain you the step here. You can read by yourself. But I just go here. This one. For example, to be solved by Gilchrist-Wester method. Okay. After we consider the MPS, then in order to chase that production target, we can calculate the cycle time. Let's say the result is 10. It means that it will be the maximum limit of the workstation time. When we distribute these work elements, we have 12 work elements. We need to consider the total time. Total time in a workstation cannot be longer than 10. It must be less than or equals to 10. The ideal condition is 10. 10. But if cannot, then we need to make sure the total time must be less than 10. Like that. Okay, student. And in Gilchrist-Wester, when we draw the the Pareto diagram, we need to consider the region. What is the region? Let me explain you. Okay, please focus on 1, 2, and 4. Work element number 1, 2, and 4. From this, from our analysis, work element number 2 requires work element number 1. Work element number 4 requires work element number 1. So we need to draw like this. We need to connect 1 to 2 and also 1 to 4. Because 2 and 4 is same. Same means that both element requires 1. Then we need to draw 2 and 4 in one region, in one column. And we cannot draw work element number 2 and 4 in the same region with work element number 1. Cannot. We cannot draw work element number 2 and 4 in same column with work element number 1. Cannot. Why? Because work element number 2 requires work element number 1. And also element number 4 requires element number 1. So we cannot draw in same column with element number 1. Okay, so then let's continue. 3, element number 3, it requires element number 2. So we need to draw element number 3 in the next region after element number 2. And here number 5 requires number 4. From here we know element number 3 and number 5 is at the same level, which is after 2 and after 4. 2 and 4 are in the same level, in the same region. So we need to draw number 3 and number 5 in the same region or same column. Okay, so then we continue again. Element number 6, it requires number 3 and number 5. It means that we need to draw number 6 on after element number 3 and 5. In the different region or after region number 3 and number 5. We continue again, student. Number 7, 9 and 10. Okay, number 7 I think is clear, and number 10 also clear. Number 9, this one. Okay, number 9 actually we can draw number 9 in next column, same column with number 8 and number 11. All right. Still correct, not incorrect. Still correct. We can draw, again, we can draw number 9, at the same column with number 8 and number 11. But in Gilchrist-Wester, there is a rule to draw the work element as left as possible. As left as possible. So, we need to save number 9, from this column, the second last column, to the third last column, because we need to draw as left as possible. From the logic also same, from the logic, because number 7 requires number 6 and number 10 requires number 6, then we need to draw number 7 and number 10 in same column. Number 9 also requires number 6, so we need to draw number 9 in the same column with number 7 and number 10. That's from the logic, from the logic reason. But from the rule, in Gilchrist-Wester, there is a rule to draw the work element as left as possible. Okay, so then now we continue number 8 and number 11. That is clear, yeah. And after that number 12, yeah, the last one. Number 12 also same, yeah. If we look number 12 from number 9, actually we can draw number 12, yeah, in the second last column. But if we see number 11, so number 12, yeah, from number 8 and number 11, we cannot draw number 12, yeah, in the second last column. So we need to draw, yeah, number 12, yeah, after, yeah, the column which contain number 8 and number 11. Okay. This is very important, yeah, in the in this method. Why? Because after we can identify the region, then when we distribute, yeah, this work element to the workstation, we need to consider the region. We must start from the first region. After that, we try to distribute all of the work element first. Then we go to the next work, region. We distribute all of the element inside the region. Then we go to the next region again, until we reach the last region. Like that. Yeah. So this is the key. This is the key. Yeah. In this method, please be careful. This is the key. Yeah. If you wrong in defining the region, then of course, the result will be wrong. Okay. So that now we try to group. Yeah. We try to group the work element. Yeah. In workstation. First, we form. Yeah. Station number 1. We install station number 1, workstation number 1. After that, we try to distribute the work element to workstation number 1. Okay, start from the leftmost, yeah, region, the first region. There is only one element, so no choice. Yeah, we need to distribute element number 1 to station number 1. The time is 5. Still far from the cycle time, which is 10. Because still far from the cycle time, then we still have chance to combine it with the next element. So we go to the next region. Yeah, we go to the next region. In the next region, there are 2 work elements, number 2 and number 4. So we can choose, yeah, one of them. Let's say we choose number 2. If you want to choose number 3, also no problem. Yeah, but the concept is we choose an element. Yeah, when we sum with the existing element, the total workstation time will be close to the cycle time. Like that. For example, yeah, just for example, this is different case. If work element number 2, the time is 3, and work element number 4, the time is 4, then we group work element number 1 with work element number 4. Why? Because the total time will be 9, and 9 is closer than 8, yeah, to the 10, yeah, to 10, because the cycle time equals to 10. So it's better for us to select number 4 combined with number 1, yeah, because the total time will be 9. If we combine number 2 with number 1, then the total time is only 8, yeah. So we select number 4, and that. That's the rule, yeah. Because, yeah, the required time is same, 3 and 3. So yeah, it is free. Yeah, it's free. We can select number 2 or number 4, up to us. Yeah. Let's say we select number 2. Okay, we select number 2. Then the total time will be 5 plus 3, it equals to 8. Actually, yeah, still less than 10. Yeah, we still have chance, yeah, to combine with the next, yeah, element. So if you go back again, yeah, in region number 2, yeah, there is still free element, which is element number 4. So when we try to combine element number 4 to the existing station, which is station number 1, we cannot. Why cannot? Because the total time will be more than cycle time. Because we cannot, then we stop, yeah, at that condition. Okay, then so the total time or the workstation time is 8. Is there any question, please? We have question from the chat column, yeah. How to get cycle time? You mentioned about MPS. How is that, sir? How to get cycle time from the MPS? Okay. In MPS, we have production target. Okay, let's say, yeah, at the first week, yeah, the target is 100 units. Okay, that's for 1 week. In 1 week, we have how many times? Let's say in 1 week, the working day is 5 days. Every day, yeah, every day, the operator needs to work, let's say, 8 hours. Okay, so the total hours will be 8 times 5. Okay, if we measure this time in minutes, then we need to convert it become minutes. So we will have 5 days time 8 hours time 60 minutes. That will be the available time. Divide by 100, which is the target of the production, yeah, in that week. Yeah, so we get cycle time. Yeah, 5 times 8 times 60. Okay, 60 minutes, right? 60 minutes. Yeah, divide by 100, we can get cycle time. That's the way. Is it clear, Mose?
Yeah, I see. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any other question, please? No question. Okay, good. Okay, student. After we finish, yeah, workstation number 1, then we install workstation number 2. Okay, then we evaluate again. Yeah, in the second region, we still have one work element, which is work element number 4. So we assign work element number 4 to the second workstation. The time is 3. We record here 3. Yeah, 3 is still far from 10. Yeah, from the cycle time. So we still have chance. Yeah, to combine with the other work element. So we go to the next. Yeah, to the next column, to the next region. Okay, there are 2 elements, number 3 and number 5. Okay, so here the total time, the time is different. Okay, this is good example. The time is different. Yeah, 4 and 6. If we combine with number 3, so the total workstation time will be 7, still far from 10. But if we combine with number 5, element number 5, then the total time will be 9, closer to 10. So 5 is preferable, to be combined with number 4. Yeah. So here, yeah, 4 and 5. The time is 9. 9 is still less than 10. So we still have chance, yeah, to combine with the next element. So here, yeah, now we try to include number 3. But when we include number 3, the total time will be more than 10. We cannot. Yeah. So we must stop at that point. When we stop at that point, then the workstation time will be 9. Okay. After that, yeah, we form station number 3. We install station number 3. Okay, student. And after that, yeah, we need to assign number 3, yeah, number 3 to that workstation, and we combine with number 6, yeah, because and the next area there is only one element, so no choice. Yeah, we need to combine 6 with 3. The total time is 9. It's good. Yeah, so we stop at that point 9, and then we form, yeah, station number 4. We install station number 4. Then after that, we do the same until, yeah, we assign all of the elements to the workstation. After that, yeah, here we found that we need 6. Yeah, we need 6 workstations. Okay, so then, and after that, yeah, don't forget to calculate the line efficiency. Okay, the formula is the use divided by the available time. Yeah. Okay. The available time will be, yeah, we provide 10 minutes for every workstation. There are 6 workstations. So total we provide 60 minutes. From where? From 6 times 10. Yeah. Okay. So here, yeah, 6 times 10, it equals to 60. Yeah. And yeah, for the upper, yeah, the required time. The required time is the sum, yeah, of the station time. So here 8 plus 9 plus 9 plus 7 plus 10 plus 7, it equals to 50. So yeah, line efficiency will be 50 divided by 60, it equals to 83.3%. And the balance delay is equals to 1 minus line efficiency. It equals to 16.6, yeah, 67%. Okay, student, and the smoothest index, yeah, will be this one. Yeah, from here, the maximum time is 10, right? Yeah, station number 5, yeah, 10. So yeah, we subtract the station time every workstation, yeah, with the maximum one. So here we start from the station number 1. The total time is 8. 8 subtract by 10, it equals to minus 2, but we square it, become 4. Yeah, 4 plus 9, okay, minus 10, it equals to minus 1, we square it, become 1. 4 plus 1, this one 9 again, plus 1 again, this one 3 square, don't forget, yeah, plus 9, plus 0, yeah, and plus 9 again. And after that, yeah, don't forget to square root it. Now we got square root of 24. It equals to 4.89. And this, okay, for the line efficiency, this one, the higher the better. For balance delay, the lower the better. For smoothness index, the lower the better. Why lower the better? We can imagine if the station time is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 10, perfect. Yeah. If like that, then 10 minus 10 is equals to 0. 10 minus 10 equals to 0 again. 10 minus 10 equals to 0 again. So the smoothness index will be 0. Yeah. So when the smoothness index is close to 0, it will be good like that. Yeah, that's the way to select, yeah, the best method. Yeah, a method with higher line efficiency and lower smoothness index, like that. Okay, students, any question? If no, then it's finished. Yeah, we finished to discuss the first method, and for the next week, yeah, next week we discuss the second method. And don't forget, after next week, yeah, 2 weeks later, you will have lab work. Yeah, but you already know, yeah, how to conduct SBL balancing with 2 methods. Okay, before I close the class, any question, please? No question? Good, yeah. Okay, so I stop share. And